Today's video, we're going to talk about advertising for beginners. Where to start and how not to waste years, literally years of your time to get to the point of making millions of dollars a year running ads for your business. I were starting out today. I knew nothing about advertising and marketing. It's 20 years ago all over again, basically. This is what I would want to know right up front as well, which is why I'm giving it to you here in today's video. Now, even if you aren't just starting out, this is also going to provide tons of insight into what you should be doing in perspective as to whether what you're doing right now is basically what you should be doing, or could you save a ton of time just going on a completely different path. I'm going to go over on a very 10,000 high foot level advertising options that you have offline, online, which ones basically work, which ones don't for this type of business versus that. I'm going to go over all that at a high level so you know where your advertising dollars will and give the most money back to you out of everything else that you can do, most likely. If you watch to the end of the video, I will give you also individual case studies where these things that I'm going to talk about on a broad basis, different types of advertising, what they've netted for clients that we work with starting completely from scratch. The key thing being that fortunes where you're going to be making millions of dollars running ads for your business usually are built over years, not months. But if you start today with these principles, you can definitely get there. I'd say all the time on this channel, anybody can be a millionaire running ads for their business. All you got to have is one really good ad that pays for itself, scale it up, recycle your money that you're making back into it a few hundred times, and you will be making millions. You got to understand though how to put together a good ad and know how to target should see it ultimately, which I go into detail on all of this on other videos on my channel. I'm going in at a high level on everything that you need to know on today's video. I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, online advertising agency that guarantees results for our clients. That is, you do not pay a management fee to our agency until we are able to lift your profitability of your ads a certain minimum amount up front or get to a certain level of break-evenness with your campaigns that you want to start up that may be new. We don't work with just any client, but if you got something that'll sell that we know and I can look at something and pretty well tell if it's going to sell before I work on it, we'll offer you to work on your stuff literally for free until you get to a certain minimum point with the sales to show you that we can get results and that we're not just telling you what you want to hear, which is what most other agencies that you reach out to are going to do. Of course, that comes from being able to actually offer a guarantee like that where no other firm does, is on the back of 20 years of experience running ads for businesses that I currently own. You can see that I run where we run dozens of different ad accounts at any given time, and just many years of experience running ads for other businesses that I've ran in the past, sold my ownership interest in as well. So getting into the content here, like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about all the different ads because everybody that is in today's world thinks, oh, everybody just goes online now, so I'm going to advertise online. Well, the key tenet that you should know about advertising for your business, if everybody else is doing A, you want to do B. Why? Because when everybody does A, people get immune to A, and A doesn't work like it used to. That's why there will never be a universal advertising system. Anything that gets overused doesn't work like it used to the point where it doesn't work at all. Literally speaking, you could do the opposite of what everybody else is doing and do pretty well because that thing that nobody else is doing right now probably now works because what happens is, something like direct mail or doing sending stuff out in the physical snail mail in terms of advertising. So people start to do it, they realize it works, they're doing it more, the word gets out more, that it works even more, it gets even more awareness, more people start doing it, people start getting too much mail ads in the mail, so they start to not respond to the ads that come in as much. The ads become, as a result, unprofitable. People stop doing advertising in that channel. Because everybody stops doing it, the ads become profitable again. People start noticing, more people jump in. Every channel basically goes through the same paradigm or process, and it may occur over decades, certainly. What you're trying to do is get to and advertise in places where Gary Vee, as annoying as he is, says he's a dealer of underpriced attention. Where is attention that you can get that's underpriced, that's cheap at the time, and advertise there? It used to be you could do infomercial marketing on TV, and it was really cheap when it first started out. More people did it, And it got to the point where it wasn't profitable anymore. And people stopped doing it. And then the TV networks, they couldn't raise the prices anymore for the ad space, and they had to start lowering it down again. Is it going to continue forever? With that said, all of the different kind of advertising that you can do for your business, and it's overwhelming when you're first getting into it because there's a million different things you can do for advertising. You can do email marketing, search engine marketing, Facebook ads. You can do letters, billboards. Hell, you could run an ad on an airplane. Everything, though, can pretty much be split into two major categories, which is offline ads and online. Advertising on the internet, advertising not on the internet. Okay? And I'm going to go through what the pros and cons of each to see where you should be at. Because like I said, even though everybody's going to scoff and say, offline ads, who the hell advertises on billboards anymore? The people that say that are people who benefit for you not advertising on billboards, generally speaking. Gary Vee says, all the attention's on social media now. Well, everybody, all the big brands have started to get in on advertising on Facebook now. The price per eyeball on Facebook's so much higher than it used to be that unless you really are really skilled as an advertiser on Facebook, you can't make a return on your ad spend anymore. So it's come the other way. Like I mentioned, things always do when it becomes super known about. Not only do channels get known about and then they get saturated, ads that look too much like other ads, people start ignoring them. Because the human mind is trained to say, is this an ad? Yes, don't think about it. Because your mind is constantly trying to create shortcuts so it doesn't have to spend as much energy to go out and do what it needs to do throughout the day. And it's trained itself to look in the environment and any ads, just ignore it and not spend mental energy on it. So your trick that you're always trying to pull on top of just seeing where the underpriced channels and therefore attention's at, what ads can I run that aren't going to be immediately perceived as a typical ad? Because if it looks like a typical ad, it's going to get ignored at a high rate. And the higher the rate in which it's ignored, the less return you're going to get on those eyeballs. Because every eyeball that you get your ad in front of is going to cost you money either way. A good ad that gets paid attention at a super high rate in an underpriced channel where you can run it is generally going to get you the highest return on your ad spend. Okay? Got me? Follow me so far? So as far as the different channels that you can go to advertise, offline and online. Starting with the offline category here. The benefits of advertising offline, despite what all these bozos are going to say it doesn't work anymore. You have, first of all, the potentially more impact advertising offline than online. Yes, I said more impact. Why more impact? Because there's another key thing that you need to know or should know up front as an advertiser. There's people that are advertising for decades, like colleagues of mine that I see, other YouTubers that talk about advertising strategy. They still don't know what the hell that I'm telling you here. And it's not wrong. It's what I'm saying here is 100% correct. They're just dumb. And that is, the cheaper the eyeball doesn't mean the better the eyeball or the better the place to advertise. That meaning, to give you a perfectly good example here, going back to the letter advertising or advertising through the physical mail, you could send an email to somebody that you want to buy your product or service. It's absolutely free. You could also send that same message to somebody in the physical mail, and it's going to cost you most likely at least 60 cents for that stamp here in the US. The average who doesn't know about advertising is going to say, oh, the email's obviously always the better place to go and advertise that message. And the reality is, most people are going to advertise on email because it's free, and because they're thinking way short-sighted, and they don't, frankly, know what the hell they're doing as far as a marketer. And then this channel gets super saturated because, like I was telling you before, and the reason why I told you what I told you before was to prime you for the information I was going to share. Because everybody's advertising here and people get immune to seeing ads in this spot, it becomes way less effective to the point where a letter in the mail with the same exact message as you got here is going to be 100 times more effective than the message that's seen over here. Same exact message, the channel it gets delivered in and seen in matters everything. I like that it costs money to send stuff out in the mail, because if it was free, everybody would be sending 10,000, they wouldn't be thinking about what they're sending like they send an email, because email's free, they send whatever they want to send, most of it being ineffective. Then people just start tuning all of it out, and nobody can use it for anything, practically speaking. That's not exactly the case, but versus in the physical mail, it costs money to send a message, therefore very few people are going to send a message, therefore my message that gets to their inbox, in their mailbox, is going to get actually paid attention to. So don't just think, because everything in the advertising industry is about CPM, or cost per milli, which is cost per thousand. That is, people will ask, like, what's the cost per thousand advertising this banner ad on this website? Oh, it's $8 per thousand, which means it's $8 to have your ad shown 1,000 times to 1,000 different people on that website. Versus the cost per milli on somebody's email list, $2 per thousand. But it doesn't mean this one's automatically better than this one. It's all about response rates. And what's the likely response rate you're going to get in one channel versus the other. And in a perfect world, in a market-driven world, this one that's worth $8 is going to be 4 times the response as this one. Because if the response was less here, they wouldn't be able to price that ad space at $8 per thousand. It would be priced at $2 per thousand. The reality is, it doesn't work like that. The way that it works is there's inefficiencies in the system, and you could play a game of arbitrage, where really the value of this is $20 per thousand in compared to this one over here, but they're charging $8. And you run a test and you find out it should be priced at $20 and it's priced at $8. Now you make a phenomenal freaking return because you actually had the balls to test this out. And the reason why it's underpriced is because not too many people want to advertise there, and they can only charge what the market will pay. So if they can only get away with charging $8 per thousand and still sell the ad space, that's what they're going to charge for it. When really it's worth $20, but they can only get away with charging $8. So your job as a marketer and advertiser of what you have to sell is to find this so-called underpriced attention, where ad space that is priced underneath what its true value is, and the more underpriced the better, obviously, because the return is going to be higher. Okay? Got it? So that's the key thing that if you figure out now, you'll learn how to make more money sooner than anything else that I can basically tell you. You go out and you test different places to advertise. You don't care what anybody says about it working, not working. That and a lot of the places that you advertise aren't easily trackable, like a billboard, so people will say that doesn't work. They don't understand that people see a billboard, and then later on it's going to make them more likely to buy because they've seen you on a billboard before. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later. You literally speaking can test anything out and just see if it works or doesn't work or what level it works at. And instead of being so judgmental and have all these false assumptions about what you're doing, you just go try a bunch of stuff and you just see how it does. And you try 10 things and one works really well and it's profitable and you keep it. You try 10 more and you do the same thing there. If you can't tell online ads, people are so addicted to it because you can physically see an ad get clicked through and if they buy or not. On a billboard, you can't. But what you can do is you can start billboard advertising. Then you can, over the next 6 months, see how your sales do compared to the previous 6 months or the 6 months during the same time of the year as the previous year, and if you got a sales lift or not. And if you did, well, of course, it worked. And that's called conversion lift testing in the marketing and advertising space. So therefore you can test anything. It's just a matter of where is everybody saying it's not worth advertising, because I want to advertise there and see if it works there because nobody's doing it. I'm going to do it. And then the way that I advertise, it's totally different than anything else my consumers and my markets have seen. So I'm going to try that. And that is fundamentally, if I could end the video right here, and that would be enough for you to cut, years and years and years out of the time it takes to strike it rich for what you're doing. If you've got something that's marketable that can and will sell, because a lot of you guys, unfortunately, and no offense, you're trying to polish a turd. You'd be better off marketing something else than trying to find the magic ad that's going to sell it. Because if you got something that really there's demand for, you can be an average advertiser or even a beginner advertiser. You throw something up and it's going to work. Versus you could be the best advertiser in the world, like myself. If it's a product that basically nobody wants, I can't get, with all my 20 years of experience, I can't get an ad for it to work. Or it's going to be really, really, really hard and take a lot of time. The first thing you do right is you do the market research to find out what people want, and then you sell that. Not take something that you know that you can get your hands on and then to ram it down people's throats, because you're going to struggle way more than you need to than just going and finding what will sell. You go to Amazon and read bad reviews, see products that they would like an improvement on that nobody else is doing in that market, come up with a product that does that now. You know exactly what will sell. It's not that hard to do and figure out. And then on top of that, instead of being a complete and what people were going to do and go have 100 of these products made, and then they're going to try to see if it sells, you go ahead and you create a prototype product. That is, you don't actually create the product. You pretend you have it and you try to sell it on your website with your ads. And if it sells, then you'll shut down your ad campaign, and then you'll right away go ahead and you will try to create an order, your first batch of 100 or 1,000, then you'll go into business. That's the beauty of online ads, by the way. You can run an ad real quick, see if something you can get a nibble on your ad, and if you can go out and start selling that. That way you don't have to, it's really easy to find something that you know you can do well with, because either the ad pulls right away fairly well or it doesn't. If you have something that really sells, it will pull the first month. You'll have a campaign that can be profitable the first month. Most people just, though, don't have a good product or service, and it'll take longer than a month for the ads to break even. And they got to run their ads for a lot longer, and they have to use conversion tracking on their ad systems to find out the 10% of what they did worked, to keep the 10% and then try more stuff, versus they run it and it just right away works. If you have the right product, it will right away work. If it doesn't, it can take 6 months before your ads pay for themselves in terms of the sales to offset the cost of the ad spend and the cost of that product or service and whatnot. Getting back on track here, offline ads, there's no banning, okay? One thing that you'll find out, especially if you're selling something borderline like supplements or anything like, Facebook has not liked in the past, you could get shut down on Facebook overnight. Many, many times we've had clients that were making, 50 grand a month profit on a campaign we were running through Facebook. Facebook one day just decides, I don't like your product anymore. I'm not letting you run your ads anymore. Your account's permanently banned, and then you're done. Of course you can try to have ads running on Google and Microsoft so that you at least don't go out of business if that ever happens. But that happens way more than people think. People think it's like, it's like the government. Oh, if they're in jail, they're definitely guilty. The law is used against people many, many times just to get rid of somebody that somebody else doesn't like. So you could do nothing wrong, nothing illegal, and you could still easily get shut down. Whereas if you've got something that's working through the mail, it's going to work, and you're never going to have to wake up one day and realize all the years you spent tweaking and testing what you did on that channel just evaporate and disappear one day. So that's a consideration. You also got rock hard consistency. There's less variables involved. That is, you send out a mailer to a list of 50,000 people that you picked up through a data broker that tells you these are people that are likely to buy your product. If it works on a 5,000 of those 50,000 as a test, it's going to work to all 50,000, and it's going to work and work and work until you've sold to everybody that you could sell to on that list, and it's super consistent. And there's not a lot to do. Versus when you're talking about Google ads, Facebook ads, it's the opposite. It rarely works at the beginning, and it usually takes running your ads for a while, getting the first 50 to 100 to 200 customers for the system to look at the customers you got, what traits that make them unique, then keep steering your ad in the direction of people that look like your past customers for it to even break even for you. And it can just go off track one day because the algorithm that runs the ads can just make a false assumption. You'll have 10 sales one day, 2 another day, then 5, then 14, then 1, and it's very inconsistent when the algorithm's constantly running tests to see if it can, if it could sell you the ad space, get rid of inventory that they don't want, or trying to find you a new place that can work, that kind of thing. Versus the offline stuff, it's way more consistent generally. You also, with the offline, it's less saturated. I already talked about this, but so little people are talking about offline advertising right now. You can't even hardly find any tutorials about radio advertising, TV advertising on YouTube and whatnot. If you figure it out, you'll probably be the only one in your entire niche space that does any TV ads even, or radio ads even. It's then wide open for you. Versus 20 years ago, you would have had to been fighting it out. There was 3 other guys doing radio ads, and if you did it, it wasn't going to be very effective because 3 other people are running ads at the same time. You should take advantage of that. You also going to have the benefit of it being a lot less complicated to run offline ads. I already touched on this. There's not that many levers to pull. There's not that much you have to know technically wise. To run online ads, you got to know about landing pages and website design and coding and conversion tracking, which involves coding. And you kind of have to be like technically savvy in a way to or at least understand how it works to not make big mistakes with it versus sending a letter out in the mail. As long as the letter hits the mailbox, you're done. There's nothing to really realize. You don't have to know anything about technology to do it. There's a quicker effect with the offline. I talked about the algorithms, how people think that Google Ads is a switch, that when they turn it on, it just works. And if it doesn't work right away, it's a scam. That's why 90% of people never get results with Google Ads or Facebook ads because they don't understand this. If it were as easy to turn on a Google ad and it works right away, then your competitors already been doing it because everybody knows what Google Ads is. Everybody knows what Facebook ads is. And you could technically say that, but you say, well, if that's the case and it worked right away, if you could run a mailer and it worked right away, why wouldn't my competitors already be doing that? And the answer to that is they're not running mailers. In most markets anymore, which is why you should do it. Very few people understand how to do offline advertising. It comes down to, like if you're doing direct mail, you have to understand how to get access to a mailing list that works. You got to know how to deal with data brokers. There's stuff that you got to know, and very few people know how to do that anymore. With TV ads, you got to understand how to buy the right spots, and very few people know how to do that anymore. But anyway, with that said, like I mentioned before though, if you want to get in front of 50,000 people who like to eat at Italian restaurants with your physical mailer, and you test out 5,000 of that list, it'll either work right away or not. There's no gray area unless you're talking about something that is like a new house. You're trying to sell new houses. There's sales cycle time, involved where people see your mailer to the time that they decide to buy. But for all practical purposes, even then they would be able to call, and you're going to be getting them to call, not just buy the house right away. You're going to know if it works or not after that first mailer, and you're going to know right away. Versus to Google Ads, do that, you're going to be the one that doesn't make it work. It's not going to work unless you have a big winner of a product that's really, really high in demand with low competition. You're not going to get it to work in 2 weeks. You're going to have to run the ads for 3 to 6 months to hit profitability and know if you can hit profitability even. That's the benefits of the offline. Now the online ads, the benefits are more immediate feedback on offers. Okay, you can run an online ad. You could stop this video, run an ad on Google Display Network, run a banner ad to millions of people and get it done in the next 15 minutes. I'm not recommending that, but you could. Or you could run an email blast and get immediate feedback on a message or messaging that could work. I mentioned how you could test product ideas with online ads, and that's beautiful because you could find out, what people really want is a blow-up rubber doll that's, looks like an Indian or whatever, like from the Amazon reviews. You could go ahead and just put an ad that says Indian-looking rubber dolls and have blow-up dolls and have that on the top of Google and see if people click on it at a higher rate than the ad that you have now that sells rubber dolls, or, of course, in general, knowing the average industry click-through rate to know if that product will work or not, and know it in an hour, or practically speaking, or a day or whatever. Versus, having to send the mailer out in the mail and then you have to wait for a week for the response to happen. You get what I'm saying. By the way, if you want to know what you should be putting together for your campaign, you can go out and try all this stuff for yourself, or you can just reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com and I'll tell you what to run using my 20 years of experience, and we'll give you a guarantee of results on top of everything else. If we agree that we can get results with it, just reach out to me. I offer new prospective clients a free consultation. We also sell ad templates. If we've sold whatever you're trying to sell before, we'll sell you the winning ad and landing page and campaign template for it for a one-time fee that you can just install in your account and get the profitable results you're looking for. It makes being a beginner with this stuff totally irrelevant. We've spent years to develop a campaign that works for it, an advertising campaign that works for it, and you're just going to use the same thing. So much so that we got people that start whole other businesses using these templates. They'll take the list of 200 different niche markets we've gotten results in. They'll say, I want to run a business doing that. They'll get the ads, boom, they install it in their account, boom, they got results after a break-in period of the ads getting broke in. But anyway, they have that. And so if you want to run your own ads, but you want to shortcut your way to success, just getting the templates that work, which we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front, is the best way to go. Anyway, if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. If you also have questions, you can ask me a one-off. Just leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to every single person. Me a question or comment in the comment section of my videos here. Usually within 24 hours, I can answer any questions that you have. Getting back to the content The other benefit of online ads is you have more precise tracking. I talked about this already. If you run a banner or a billboard, which by the way, they still work. We're running a billboard for a drug rehab center right now. It's working beautifully. You gotta wait some time for the sales to come in to have any kind of statistically significant results with your campaign. Whereas with the online ads, you can see exactly, did this person see the ad? Did they click through the ad? Did they buy? Or did they turn into a lead after they clicked on the ad? And have immediate hard data to go with. You don't get that with the offline ads per se. Yes, you can run a tracking number so that when people call the number on your offline ad, you'll know how many calls you got. CallRail is a provider of call tracking that does that. But a lot of it, there's data leakage because a lot of people who see a TV ad, they're going to Google it on their phone and you're going to miss that. And you're not going to know if it came from that TV ad or did it come from Google. Direct benefit to you if you use online ads that you can track better. Not only just track better, know if the thing worked, the ads worked. If you target 100 searches on Google, you can see exactly which search generated the sale and then know, okay, that search, I want to show up for that search from now on, but not these other 99 that don't generate the sales. And I can see that if they made this search and they were female, we got sales. And we'll run our ads from now on if they search for this and they're female, but not if they're male, only female. And you can see exactly down to the letter, time of the day of the week, city, state, gender, household income, on and on and on and on and on. Down to whatever level that you need to analyze it at to find out what section of what you did, where the money came from. You also got with online, it scales with less effort. You're dealing with algorithms. I talked about this already. You can actually have a Facebook campaign say, I want to sell to people that look like my past customers. Upload an email list to them. They'll look at your customers. Then they'll start running your ads. When you get a sale, they'll look at that customer and what traits that they have, knowing the 5,000 plus unique traits that match up with that Facebook user, because Facebook has so much data on each person that they deal with, it's ridiculous. They know more about their users than their users know about themselves. Same thing with Google. And the more customers you get, the better they get at getting you customers because these algorithms become more and more sure about who's your customer and the traits that make them unique versus people who don't buy and what make them unique. And so you don't have to do as much as you used to by and large because these algorithms have gotten so damn smart. You don't have that with offline ads. Once something's working, it isn't going to magically keep getting better. There's no intelligence behind it like that. You also got with online ads, it scales more overall. You can get more generally total sales that are profitable to you with online ads than offline ads, mainly because you can get all the people while they're doing research about what you sell while they're doing that research. Not in every market do people do research, but if you're in a market where people do research, you can get in front of every single one of those people doing the research with an ad, irresistible offer, so that if you're selling punching bags, you can have an offer that says, see the top 15 punching bags compared side by side. And if you're buying a punching bag, you want to absolutely obviously know that because that's information you're not going to be able to get online elsewhere, or assuming you couldn't. You're going to be able to get their email address, and then you can then start selling to every single person. And so effectively, every single person that's about ready to buy a punching bag, it's their idea and that they're starting online to go down the road of getting one, you get in front of every single person, period. Wherever they go online, you're going to be able to get in front of them. And therefore, you can get millions and millions of dollars in sales just running online ads for your business. Because if you're in a market where people do research, you get in front of every single one, So that's the main thing there. And people spend more time online than they do looking at, billboards. So it's not that the offline can't work. It's just, if you really strike it rich with the online, you'll be insanely rich as a person and as a company, because once you do get some momentum, oh baby, to the point where, even just getting Google search ads working in most niches that we deal with as a company, as long as you're dealing nationwide, you can make $5, $10, $15 million a year in sales and $1 million a year in profit just getting that mastered. Forget about understanding anything about how to generate leads when people are on Facebook or anything else like that. By the way, if you want to know the details on this stuff, on how to actually put the campaigns together that will get you results that we use to get results every time for our clients, you need to subscribe to this channel as I give you all that information for free on this channel. There's nothing I hold back. if you're going to pay attention to anything, you want to at least subscribe to this channel, because the information I'm giving you on this channel is coming from somebody who actually is in the trenches doing it, which may not sound like a lot, but when you realize, because you're in the industry, the other people that have YouTube channels talking about how to run ads don't actually run any ads. They're pretending to sell you a course. You realize how valuable the information I'm giving you on this channel actually is. I spend 40 hours a week doing ad testing at our firm on dozens of ad accounts to constantly find out what's working at any given time, and then give it to you all for free what I find out. So it doesn't get any better than that. So you should subscribe if you haven't already. You should also check out my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has also, even better information about, and there's specific step-by-step instructions and advice and strategies that we use to guarantee results for our clients there, with screenshots, with everything you need to execute those strategies, totally all for free. So you should check that out as well. But to sum all this up here, offline can potentially be better for your business, or online. Most people are still going to start out online, mainly from the standpoint that you can run Google search ads for people who are already know they want to buy your product or service, and you can just get it in front of them while they're going to just, they're going there to buy it. And that's easy for a beginner to do, but you're only going to make a small sliver of the money that you're can potentially make by not trying anything else, when most people just limit themselves to that. We had a client who sold, I mentioned that I would go over some results here, what potentially you can make. We had a client who sold house paint. They started out, they were literally not making anything. We built the campaign up on Google search over a 7 to 8 year period. We got them to $5 million a year and $1 million a year in profit. This guy knew nothing about online ads when we started. We started out with a $1,500 a month ad budget on Google. We worked for the first few months to get it profitable. Then we spent a little bit more. Then we spent a little bit more, just as we normally do when we get a campaign working. And the money part when you run ads is in the scaling part, not in the initial trying to get it to work. You justify running your ads at a loss for a while because when it's profitable, you can scale and you'll make it all back later, even if it takes a few months. Just something as simple as house paint, we were able to get that to work. We've done the same thing with toolboxes. But if you sell something like a toolbox and you say to yourself, how do I get that to work? I can tell you for a fact, when we sold these are high-end toolboxes that are more than $1,000 each, we were able to sell those toolboxes successfully, not only on Google search, but on Facebook ads, TV ads. We were able to run ads on niche website forums where people like auto mechanics that are DIY auto mechanics like to visit, buying dedicated banner ad space there. And we were able to generate $30 million a year roughly in sales altogether between all of these, just taking the money that we started out making on Facebook, getting the Google search ads going, then getting the TV ads going, which is what you should do for yourself as a business owner of your business that needs to be able to bring in sales for your business. Big mistake that newbies make is they'll try to spread themselves too thin at the beginning. Pick one channel and do everything you can to get that one channel to work on a starting budget you can afford to lose while you're trying to get it to work. Work on those like your life depends on it. Like somebody's going to come blow your head off if you don't get this ad to be profitable. If you can afford to spend $1,000 a month and you had to spend that $1,000 a month for the next 5 years, you still wouldn't go bankrupt as a person or as a company, then that's what you spend on the channel you start out with, and you do everything you can, you read everything you have to get that $1,000 to pay for itself after the expense of your delivering your product or service and the cost of that ad spend. And then can start scaling up that ad spend and get full coverage in that space. Once you do that, you're off to the races. You got, the scaling of your ads pays for itself. You just take the money you're making to put into more ad spend and then more ad spend and more ad spend, and you just keep making more. So you just have to the key to it is everybody wants to run one ad that they can then make millions and millions of dollars from. It rarely works out that way. Sometimes it does, but most of the time I ran an ad, it made money. Then I ran another ad, and then that made some more. And then I used the money from that to run another ad. And 7 years later, you got 100 ads running, all of which bring in a trickle of cash regularly. And it started from that one seed investment in that initial ad, and taking what you also learned from that one ad to apply to something else you did, and then you just kept doing that again and again and again. And people get discouraged because they're not making millions of dollars in the first 6 months of running their business, and it just usually doesn't go that way. unless you have something remarkable to sell that everybody wants and that nobody else can compete with you on, then you can. Otherwise, it's going to be a 7-year slog of building it up to make that $1 million a year in profit and $5 million a year in revenue. 10 years plus to get to the 30 million mark. And what you do is you make money and then you spend every month about 10% more on ad spend than you had the month before. And you try to get that next 10% working. And then the next month you do another 10% and you keep going and going and going. And you're now making $1 million a year in profit on year 7. That's really how you get there and how most of the time we're doing it and most people that you see are doing it. The big guy in your niche market that's doing everything that you're jealous of, that you can't understand how he spends that much on ads, I almost guarantee you he started out just like I'm saying, spending $1,000 a month, figuring out how to get it to work, then going to $2,000, then $4,000, like everybody else. Anyway, with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching and good luck with your campaigns. See you later.
Remember when I said Google ADs was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.